So I'm excited to introduce to you Amy Lynch. Amy speaks from experience. She has founded companies, grown them, and sold them. Along the way, she has led and been led by 4 different generations. Who can relate? Led and been led, yes, right? A generation's researcher for more than a decade, so she has the experience. Amy has spoken to hundreds of audiences from MTV to Boeing to Microsoft and the staff of the U.S. Senate. I think we should pay attention, right?
That was a hard one.
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd.
She is a regular contributor to Entrepreneur Magazine, so Google her. An advocate for every generation, Amy teaches audiences to use Gen IQ as they strategically align generations. Employing the entrepreneurial strengths and skills of every generation, please give me a round of applause and hoo-has for Amy Lynch.
Hi, guys. Oh, what a wonderful event. And the energy of entrepreneurship is always so powerful. It's such a pleasure to be here. Today, I want us to take a step back and look at entrepreneurship, and then we'll zero in a little bit as to the gifts that each of you brings from your generation to the efforts, to the enterprises that we're talking about today. I must say that I'm not finding my slides, so if somebody in the back can make sure they're queued up, that would be useful. Is there? Okay, thanks. The first question I want to ask you is this: why? Why should we cross generations and try to build efforts with people who are so different from ourselves? Everybody knows this isn't easy. What can come up when you're trying to work with a different generation? What can come up? Conflict of what kind? Technology. Oh my gosh. Yeah, technology. What else? Communication, because we communicate so differently. So it's not easy. It's hard. The question is why? Why go to this effort? And the answer is pretty simple. The answer is disruption and acceleration. Disruption and acceleration. Okay, my slides are going to come up in just a minute. I want to talk this morning about an analogy. This is the best analogy that I have found for entrepreneurship in the world that we live in right now. And it's called dark flow. Anybody heard of dark flow? Astronomers are always trying to see out into the universe as far as they can see, of course, and trying to see further and further beyond the universe that we're in. Just a few years ago, down at NASA, there was an astronomer named Sasha Kaslinsky, and he noticed this weird thing, and it was that thousands and thousands of galaxy clusters, can you imagine how big a cluster of galaxies is? That thousands of them were speeding across the sky toward the same point. Now, they were going faster than he could explain. They were going faster than the rules of cosmology allow us to explain, and all headed toward the same point. So the question astronomers are still dealing with is, well, why? Why are they going over there? What's pulling them? Is it a universe we can't see? Is it a megastructure we can't see yet? Is it the tractor beam on the Death Star? But everything is heading that way. And we're part of that, by the way. Our galaxy is heading that point, too. It's a little point beside the constellation Centaurus. Big picture. We're part of movement that we can't even see. We're part of a huge movement of disruption and acceleration. Now, we don't know where we're going exactly at this moment of disruption, but fortunately we have a map of sorts. This is why I love generational studies. It does give us a kind of map of where we are and what's coming next. About 25 years ago, when generational studies actually became a field of study, an academic field, an economist and a historian, Strauss and Howe, looked back at 600 years of history and analyzed the economy over that time in Europe and here and in Asia. And what they discovered was a cycle a cycle that has to do with the economy. What they discovered is that every so often, about every 80 to 100 years, a culture and an economy go through a convulsive time when everything gets shaken up and all the business models get changed. Now, if you think about American history, just to make it simple, American history, the American Revolution, when the colonies become an independent country and those ties to the mother country are broken, hey, the economy just went through convulsions. It changed everything. 100 years later, about 1860, what have we got in the country? Yeah, the Civil War, the war between the states. That is when an industrial economy slams right into an agrarian economy based on slavery, and bam, a convulsion. About 100 years later, 1930, 1940, what's happening? The Great Depression, yeah, and then World War II. Again, economies completely revised. So every so often, that happens in a country, it happens in a culture, it happens in an economy. Now, it's about 100 years later at this point, by the way, folks. So we're in the middle, yeah, of another disruption. In a way, if you think about cosmology and the stars, we are in the middle of our own digital Big Bang. Think about in the last 10 years how the business models in your industry have changed. How the way clients find you and purchase from you, the way that you create value for them, think about how that's changed. We're in the middle of our own amazing Big Bang of change. I think about how fast that is, and I was thinking about an example of that just this morning. A few years ago, when we started scanning the human genome, critics said, hey, with the technology we've got, that's going to take thousands of years to finish. Well, they're done already, guys. Yeah. We're changing so fast that you can't take the last 5 years and predict the next 5 years. No way. You take the last 5 years and the rate of change and multiply it by itself and then multiply it by itself again, and it's exponential. That's where we are. That's where we are. Now, in generational studies, we look around and we say there is a period of about 20 to 25 years when that's what happens. An economy is completely reshaped. After that, we get about 20 years when, the economy slows down a little. We get some stability because we've changed the way we do business. Then we can do business for a while, about 20 years. Things grow, you can build a business. Then we get about 20 years when the economy is still strong, but there is agitation for change. Then we get about 20 years when, the economy falters. Change accelerates. And then we're back around to disruption again. Let's help you identify where you are in that cycle. That period of belonging, which generation do you think grew up during that period and built businesses during that period? Silence, yes. My mom's generation. And then that generation that grew up in an awakening when there were new ideas out there like the women's movement, the civil rights movement. Which generation? The baby boomers. And while baby boomers were growing up, the economy was still strong. There were going to be lots of jobs, folks. That's what I believed as a boomer growing up. Of course I'd do better than my parents would. The economy was strong. The next phase is the generation, which generation grew up during the Xers. The economy started to falter, didn't it? Remember Enron? Bam. Remember WorldCom? Bam. There was a farm crisis. There was a steel crisis. There was an oil crisis. There was a hostage crisis. You get the picture, right? Okay, Xers grew up when the economy was faltering. It was working, but man, it was kind of like a roller coaster. And then we get millennials generation growing up during this period of disruption. Gen Zs. Do we have Gen Z in the house? Yay, yay, yay. We'll be talking to you later. You'll be able to form businesses when we're through this period of disruption. Yay, good for you. Your timing's good, by the way. Yeah, Xers kind of got the short end of the stick on the timing thing. In any case, each of us, all of us, are part of a bigger cycle than we know. We're part of something big. And this is this period of disruption that demands entrepreneurship. This is exciting, guys, because this is the era of the entrepreneur. When everything is changing is exactly when we must have new businesses, new business models, new ideas, new solutions. This is your time. This is the era of the entrepreneur. Disruption demands innovation. Innovation. Each of you in this room knows something powerful about innovation, or you wouldn't be sitting here today. Each of you in this room brings a gift to innovation, or you wouldn't be sitting here today. You wouldn't be in this meeting at this time, at a time in history when change demands change of us, and when we must change as quickly, our businesses must change as quickly as change itself. Anybody else feel the pressure of this? Yeah, it's moving fast. Got to come up with innovation all the time. So the question is, where does innovation come from? Where do we get innovation? What are some of the sources of innovation? Challenging the status quo, saying that is not good enough, and we innovate. Yes, what else? Are you a boomer? That's a boomer answer. Yeah, boomers are always about making the world a better place. It's idealism. It's challenging the status quo. Good for you. Where else does innovation come from? Oh, I love it. When there is a hurt, something that hurts or isn't working. Yeah, and you're trying to solve it. What are the other sources of innovation? Collaboration, absolutely. What else? Technology drives innovation, and that's one reason we've got so much innovation right now. Okay, oh, yes. Yes, something that doesn't work well. And you look at it and it's broken and you say, man, and you just automatically start to innovate because we have to. Maybe that's the best answer, have to. We live in a time when we have to innovate. Well, I want to give you a simple way to remember where innovation comes from. The primary source of innovation, it turns out, is diversity. When we bring together our very different minds, then we get better ideas. I want to give you an easy way to remember this, the chicken. This is not a chicken or the egg problem, okay? The chicken is diversity, the eggs are innovation. This is also not a why did the entrepreneur cross the road puzzle, okay? It's just a reminder, a goofy reminder, so you have an image in your mind of the chicken. The chicken is diversity. Whenever you're looking for innovation, you got to have the chicken. Got to have diversity. Now, the scientist who has done the most work on this and who has really given us an understanding of diversity and its critical role in innovation is Scott Page. Has anybody read his book, The Diversity Bonus? It's wonderful because he's a mathematician, he's a social scientist, he understands the complexity of innovation. And he's found that when it comes to solving complex problems, the equation looks like this. Individual abilities, the people in your group and their individual skills, yes, plus diversity is innovation. The more diversity you add into the equation, the more innovation you get. There it is, guys. There's... That was great. Yeah. Okay, there's the why. There's the why. Because we've got to have innovation or we can't move forward with the enterprises that we're trying to put together right now. Putting together an entrepreneurial effort is just one problem solving. Is one day when you solve a problem, and the next day when you solve another problem, and the next day when you solve another problem. Am I right? So you got to constantly innovate. Now, in explaining how this works, Scott Page I love his work, and I simplified it in a very simple cartoon. I'm not sure, let's see. Oh, this is hard to see. I'm sorry, guys. Let's say that you and I are in a company, and I'm sitting there with a problem to solve, and those are the ideas that I come up with above my head. Now, you're sitting across the table, and you're the same as me. Maybe you're the same race. Maybe you're the same gender. Maybe you're the same generation. Well, the ideas you come up with are going to be pretty much the same, right? But let's say we invite diversity to the table. Let's say we invite somebody who's not like us. Let's say we invite somebody else who's not like us, even different in even more ways, and we get better ideas. We get problem-solving ideas. There's lots of science behind this. Research has shown that when a jury is diverse, they weigh a case much more deeply and analytically. You have experience with this kind of thing? I see you nodding your head. Your husband, is he? He was on a jury and he saw the diversity in play. Yeah. There was a wonderful study of college students, and they would give college students a problem to solve. And if the college students were all pretty much the same, age, race, gender, from the same geographic area, same religion, and so forth, well, and they had the same abilities or disabilities, well, they didn't solve the problem as well as if you added one person to the mix who was diverse, who was different, then their odds of getting the right answer to the question doubled. Now, it's not easy to work with. Where are the Xers in the room? It's not easy to work with you, I gotta say. Okay. I just got experience with this.
It's a very baby boomer.
That's a baby boomer experience, yeah. But you know what? I need you. I need you. You're going to bring a perspective, an idea, an experience that I'm not going to have, and technology that I'm not going to recognize. Science tells us that we have to work harder when we're not all the same, but we get better results. We get it right more often. There was a massive study that was done of hundreds of companies here in the US, and the analysis showed that diverse teams, over time, got more sales, more profit, more customers, more innovation. Age-diverse teams were key to the success of these companies when they were analyzed. It's a good study. It's in the Harvard Business Review, and it really digs into the age diversity. Okay, so what does generational diversity bring to the table? Let's dig down just into that just a little bit. Who do we have in the room? Do we have anybody from the silent generation in the room? Born before 1946 or roughly so? Where? Yay! Hello! All right. Ready? We stand on your shoulders, and you remember all these phases of the economy, right? Yeah, experienced it. You've been there. You've been there, which is why I need to listen to you. Do we have baby boomers in the room? Yeah, we got a few. Yeah, oh, you're going to clap? Okay, let's clap for the baby boomers. I thought you were all going to retire. You're still one of the baby boomers retires every 7 seconds, right? So if there's somebody at the table and they leave in a minute, then you'll know. Right? Retiring from 9 to 5. But overwhelmingly, boomers are not done yet. Yeah, that's why we're here today. That gives me chills, you know? Speaks to me, of course. Okay, Xers in the room, raise your hands again. Bravo, we're going to clap for it. Man, there was no clapping. I had to urge you on, why Xers, why don't you clap for yourselves? You're just pragmatic. Why waste time on clapping, right? Let's get this done, right? Yeah. Is it because you're so small? Have you never been clapped for much because you're such a small generation? That's very sad. Why are you such a small generation? The pill. That's right. Are you an Xer? No, I'm not. Oh, you know this. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, the pill. Your moms had the ability to put off having kids so they could have careers. Yeah, it was a time in history when we did family differently in this country, and it impacted you. How many Xers in the room were latchkey kids at some time? Yeah, you took care. You put your own Pop-Tart in the toaster, I guess. Yeah. Got your own homework done, found your own ride to the basketball game. You know, it wasn't like other times in history. What did that make Xers in terms of your personalities? You tend to be independent, yeah. Which is something you bring to an enterprise, into entrepreneurship. That fierce independence. There was a study last year, I was just remembering a funny study that came out last year. It was about vacations. And different generations were asked how they would go on their ideal vacation. And the millennials were asked, how would you go on your ideal vacation? What transportation would you use? What do you think millennials said? not across town. This is like a dream vacation, okay? All right, big time vacation. How would millennials say, well, I'd probably get there using a plane, sure, private jet preferably. And then boomers were asked, how would you get there? And boomers said, no. Think luxury. Boomers, this is a dream vacation. Ships, trains, right, jets. Okay, but Xers were asked, and overwhelmingly the answer was, I'll drive my own car, my own self. Thank you. Independent Xers, independent Xers. Okay, millennials, do we have millennials in the room? Woo, look at you. Applaud for millennials. Okay, millennials, keep your hands up, please. I got to ask you a question. What is it with toast, okay? Because avocado toast, you're getting slammed for eating. You can't even afford to buy your own house in Denver, right? And you're getting slammed for eating toast. This is so unfair. Profit margins for the business. There you go. For the toast. It's good toast. That's right. I'm just saying you get slammed for a lot of things that don't exactly seem fair. And here you are so ambitious and at a critical point in your lives. Many millennials in the room, how many of you are in your early 30s or 30 or 36? Yeah, critical arc in your lives and in your careers. Of course, it's an awkward age. To really young people, you look really old. To really old people, you look really young. It's an awkward age. Millennials are so ambitious. I know you've been slammed for not being, but my gosh, you're incredibly ambitious. There was an interesting study by a large financial group that asked millennials, if you have to make choices between an important career move and a relationship, how do you weigh that? How do you decide? And the millennials said, my career is so important, I am so ambitious, that actually a raise of about $37,000, if I had to move or something, could make me decide to end a relationship. Wow, guys, it's huge. You also said that a raise of about $66,000 could cause you to put off a marriage, at least for a while. $67,000 would cause you to put off kids. I've raised kids, that's about right, I'd say. Less when I was in labor. That was different. The people who laughed have been in labor. Yeah. All right, millennials, very ambitious, bringing a set of gifts to entrepreneurship that we haven't had before. Gen Zs, are there Gen Zs? We've only got a few in the room. Where are you? 1, 2, you can sit together. 4, 5, 6. All right, what gifts do you guys bring to entrepreneurship? New ideas. You know you're the most entrepreneurial generation in the country right now. You are the most entrepreneurial generation in the country. You're also the most skeptical. It's like when you found out Pluto wasn't really a planet, that was kind of it for trust. We're done. Now here's the thing about generational diversity, guys. About 1980, something huge happened. Remember, we've already talked a little bit about the digital Big Bang. About 1980 is when we started getting information, everyday information, in digital form. My gosh, it reshaped the way we do business and the way that we think. And 1980 was about when the guy on the right there started selling us machines that looked about like this. 1980 is when CNN went on the air. Wow, the access to information just began to fly. CNN went on the air, and Ted Turner, who founded it, said this that day. He said, we're on the air, and we are not going off. We are not going off until the end of the world, and we will cover that live. We will play Nearer My God to Thee, and then, only then, will we sign off. That's what he said. But listen to the change. Listen to the acceleration in that announcement. We'll be on 24/7. You will have information, all the information you could dream about the news, 24/7. About 10 years later, we all got this. This is not playing. Do we have sound? We all know what that terrible sound is. And we all know how long it took to get online. Right, it's terrible. It was the beginning, however. It was the beginning of that digital big bang that changed the way we do business, the way we lived our lives. And it changed our brains. Some generations, early generations in this room, grew up reading. Reading. How does reading shape your mind? What do you think the structures in your mind are? Lines, right? Lines. Paragraphs. It's linear. It's slow. And then we get generations who grew up after digital information, and they spent, before they were 18, 20,000 miles. 20,000 miles. I just got off an airplane. 20,000 hours online, which shapes your brain differently. So that we get two kinds of minds when we come together to form a business, an analog mind and a digital mind, and we need them both. Each kind of mind brings gifts to the table that we need. Let's see if this... I'm sorry, we're not getting the vids playing, but that's all right, because we can see from this slide how deep the difference goes. The actual structures in our brains produce different kinds of thinking. There are times in your business you're going to need a line of authority to make a decision. Other times you're going to need collaboration. Times you're going to need focus. Times you're going to need multitasking. Times you're going to need verbal communication to make a deal. And times you're going to need fast, quick, visual communication. Deep level knowledge versus 3D maps. Imagination, scale, perspective versus fast data patterns and identifying them and making sense of vast fields of data. Both things are things we got to have. No matter where you are on this scale, you bring gifts that you need, that the company needs, especially a startup, when you have to solve problems all the time. So we have, in this room, basically two very different minds at work. The analog mind, the digital mind. Now, you've all heard that saying about dogs, you know, what is it? Let's see, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? In other words, the new dog, the young dog, the digital mind, knows tricks that the old dog doesn't know. On the other hand, Warren Buffett said, you can't teach a new dog old tricks. Those two different ways, those two different perspectives of viewing information and problems and of solving them, they're both valuable. We need them both. Anybody here an old dog, an analog mind, and you've felt at some point, I've felt at some point like you're behind the times or you're like you need more skills? Raise your hands. Now, don't just raise your hands. Repeat after me. I am a gift. Anybody who's the digital mind, somebody who's got a young mind in here, and you felt dissed or disadvantaged, or because you had the technical skills, but maybe not the big perspective on business. Anybody felt that lack for yourself? If you're young? Yeah. Repeat after me. I am a gift too. All right. No matter who is sitting at your table, no matter which generation is across the table from you, they bring gifts that you need, and you bring gifts that they need. Anybody here had experience with this? Have you seen this? Where have you seen this? Right here. You were nodding your head. With Star. It's a spark. It's a friction, but it's a spark. And you were shaking your head right here with a yes. Yeah, it's awesome when we share back and forth. No matter where we sit, there are skills we don't have, that we don't bring to the table. Let me just close with this. when you get stuck in friction, one question to ask is this generational? Can we work this out if I say, my generation tends to do this? Is this a generational thing that we're experiencing? That can lead to a conversation that can lead to getting past the friction. Just call it out and say, is this generational? Something else. This is the first time in history that we have a chance to create something utterly new. Utterly new. Not businesses and structures where information moves from the top down, but structures and enterprises and startups where information moves in every freaking direction you can think of, because there's because there's reciprocal mentoring on every side and respect on every side. Because of this digital bang, we bring gifts, each of us, to that conversation that we've never seen in history before. We are part of something bigger than we know. I just want to stop and wish you all good luck, best of luck. Let's all go for it and build some new stuff, because this is a new time. Take care. Bye, guys.